John Westerhouse of Lowcountry Littles. Thanks for hopping on the Witness Business Podcast.
Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure getting to know you off air a little bit. One thing we typically start the show off with is this question. What would you say is the worst job you've ever had?
First one out of college. So actually, I studied accounting in college, and I would say my first passion is marketing, but I went into accounting because the economy at the time, that's just where like I had to pay off school debt and stuff like that. But I went into public accounting, and accounting I did because I could do it. And it was a job. It wasn't my passion. I worked for KPMG and they were great to me. And I don't want to, they're one of the big four. They're fantastic. They gave me a start in my career and I learned a lot with them. But
it's public accounting.
But yeah, public accounting. So short answer, public accounting. Man.
Yeah. You don't have to say much more than that. I think a lot of people
every March and April, you disappear.
Yeah, March and April, and then also May through the following February. So
I was
the whole year.
I was an actuarial science major in college, and we had a lot of accounting friends. My wife was too, so we had a lot of accounting friends, accounting classes, and a lot of them went into public accounting first job out of college, and it just sounded like a grind.
It's a meat grinder, and they know that. I mean, you have like 2 years and you're usually out of there, but I won't give you all the details, but that was definitely my worst job. For sure.
Well, so what could you, so the follow-up question to that is, what could you pull from that experience that maybe, you can look to today and say, that did help me build what we've got going today?
Absolutely. Two things. One, it taught me how to work. I mean, they worked hard and they worked hard and they had high expectations. And so they helped me raise my bar for myself. Like I had higher expectations for myself of how I performed, even though it wasn't work that I liked doing. And the second thing was, frankly, it helped me learn how to cash manage and how to learn the books, how to put books together and how to know how my business is performing and how to forecast things like that. Just financially, I came out so much better than I was before because I was more marketing, pie in the sky ideas type of thing, not so much the financials, which is part of the language of business.
Yeah, it's one thing to manage somebody else's books. It's entirely different to do your own.
You're telling me. I totally agree. Totally agree.
Now,
and it's probably the wrinkle in there is that you're making predictions and risk decisions that directly affect your income, not just like the income of broadly like a multi-billion-dollar company or whatever, but like you are thinking about, I need to make a living from this. And so you throw that into the financial books and it's a little bit of different equation.
Oh my gosh. The pressure's way different in a different way. Cause they're putting the pressure on you to get it right for our client. But when it's your money on the line and frankly, in a new business, like we started this from scratch, Lowcountry Littles from scratch, the predictions and forecasts are like wild swings up and down. It's not like this company that's been established for 45 years and, year over year growth is predictable.
Well, I love that we can hear just a little bit of ambient audio of your kids because that's kind of the whole reason that we're here talking to you to begin with. So let's talk about the natural pipeline that exists between public accounting and starting a company that of silicone products for kids. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, tell us about kind of what transpired. Like, I think this company started 2-3 years ago. And, 2023. And you have this idea. Where did this idea come from? And kind of what was step one to like maybe solidifying it, putting pen to paper and making something out of nothing?
Yeah. Well, step one was finding my wife. So when I was in public accounting, that was one of the reasons I was a single bachelor guy right out of school. And then I left public accounting, I kept working in finance and accounting for a couple more years. And then this was back when my wife and I lived in Minnesota, which is where we met. Now we're in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'll kind of just give the short of it if I can. I was taking over my father's company. He and his brother owned a election services and software company. And I worked a lot more in sales. I did similar accounting stuff. But me and two of my cousins were taking over the company. And in that meantime, I met my wife and dated, got engaged and married. back in 2021. And we actually, our honeymoon, because of COVID stuff, got canceled. So like it was an international, we were going to go to Aruba, and we ended up going to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and fell in love with the Lowcountry, and hence the name Lowcountry Littles. And so we fell in love with Charleston immediately. And over the course of the time, we just said, we really want to raise our kids in Charleston, South Carolina. So we had to make a hard decision of leaving our family business, which actually had been started the year I was born and I'd grown up on for so many years. And it was such an honor to be able to work for them. But I learned a lot there and really started to know, like, I have a really well-rounded skill set, and something was just eating at me to start a company from scratch. We had our first son, Theo, and he did not eat hardly anything except for these plastic baby food pouches. Now, when we were kids, it was all in jar baby food. And now they're in these plastic foil pouches. And they I swear the nutrition just gets worse every single time. It's just fruit concentrates. There's no fiber, stripped of nutrition. And so kids are this is what they eat for their first 6-7 months. And we tried, and you guys obviously can maybe sum it better for your audience, but we tried making our baby food from scratch, but he really liked the pouch model. So we understood, all right, pouches, those things work, but all the reusable options on the market stunk. They were horrible. They were hard to clean. They trapped mold in there. They were hard to fill. They were flimsy. They tasted like soap. They retained all these weird smells whenever you try to clean them. And 3 billion of these disposable plastic pouches were being sold every year in the US alone, and terrible for kids. And so we said, let's make our own. As we knew we were leaving the family business, we started having these concepts and drawing them out in early 2023. And then we officially left the business in 2020, or in August 23, founded the company when we moved down to Charleston and named it Lowcountry Littles, and started designing what is our signature product, the palmetto pouch, right away. So long-winded way of making that connection, but that's really how it went.
We had you on to be long-winded, so we want to hear what you have to say. Don't worry.
Okay.
Now, one thing I did want to kind of ask about that I feel like a lot of people, they come up on crossroads in their lives and they really start to kind of agonize on what that next step should be. They try and talk to people about it. They try to analyze it. They try to, all these different things. So you were faced with the decision between the family business and embarking out on your own pursuit. And I'm sure you definitely felt torn. So real quick, if you don't mind talking about it, how did you kind of reason through what you felt like you should do and what you felt kind of probably compelled to do based on, just conversations with your family and everything? How did you reason through that and arrive at your conclusion?
Yeah, a lot of reflection. And I always talk about that discernment and thinking through and reflecting is always an active process. So when I pursued that opportunity with my father's company, it was an active process of is this for me? And it wasn't tying the knot right away. My dad and my uncle wanted to make sure this was right for us. And in that discernment and that reflection, it was just like you said, Kyle, it was gnawing at me that I was made. It's not that I couldn't work there. I loved the company. I knew these people that worked there for years, but something was just eating at me that I knew I was supposed to start something on my own. But you do have to pause for quiet reflection on that. I pray. I'm Christian, my wife and I are, and we believe in the power of prayer. We also believe in just silence and stillness and listening to what we are supposed to do. And that was over the course of a period of a couple of years, and coming to the conclusion of saying, I will never be satisfied in what I am doing in my career if I'm working for somebody else or if I am growing something that I didn't grow from scratch. And so it was very particular of we wanted to grow something from scratch. And in particular, my wife, who's my biggest fan and supporter, pushed me to do, always supports my dreams and said, that's what you're made to do. That's what you're made to do. And
Shout out again to supportive wives. It's happened multiple times on the show, and we're going to do it again. Shout out supportive wives.
yeah, biggest supporter of marriage and supportive wives. There's no match for that type of secret weapon.
So I think that it's important, especially for people, we live in a snapshot culture, a TikTok culture, where everyone's attention is fleeting and we expect everything to happen 5 minutes ago. And so this process took place over a couple of years. And so, the road to success, the road to growth it's not just snap your fingers and automatically it's ready. And I think that you're a testament to the fact, and I want to talk, a little bit more about that kind of as we go along here. In large part, it sounds like you knew you wanted to do something, you didn't know what, and then you came upon this problem with your kids, and it's like, all right, this is the something that I want to put our efforts into. What was it as you went along that made you say, you're like, oh, this is a legitimate company, this is a legitimate opportunity? Like what kind of affirmation did you receive early on that made you say, hey, we can turn this into a business?
Yeah, one of the things was that 3 billion disposables were being sold every year. And what I mean by that is like in pouch form. So we knew like this was working for people. It was convenient. Kids liked kind of like when it comes to our first signature product, the Palmetto pouch. But parents also were very skeptical. There was a lot of like bad press coming about and these disposable baby food pouches. So you had heavy metals in them, microplastics, and just like ruining kids' gut microbiome. Gut health itself is also a really big thing that is becoming important for adults, but little light shed on children. And even though 90% of the gut forms from age 0 to 5. And for us, we knew we had a business because we had a passion, but like you said, Kyle, like that takes time to like go from, it's not just like overnight you have an idea and then it's on market and like it's exploding. This is happening in real time. So like we're doing all this research on disposable baby food, on the pouch model. Also, like we never had CAD design experience, product development. We never had any of that experience. So like when it was, we knew what we had to do was just step one. And that was, we wanted to make this product, figure out how to make this product, find the people that can help you make this product. And that was how we started. Now, did we know that we'd have 5 products later in that same non-toxic mealtime line? No. Did we know we'd now be launching our gut health daily multivitamin for kids? No. But we knew we had to start with this because our passion was to cut down on all those disposables, help kids start eating right and improving their nutrition from the get-go, from weaning from, breast milk and formula on to solids. And I just think like the biggest thing that entrepreneurs miss is that you just have to get started. Like you don't, and it was the same thing for my dad back in the day. Like you go into one thing and it starts, shaping into something else or just filling out. You don't necessarily have to have this huge PowerPoint plan and outline for a massive business. We just got started.
Yeah, we hear that every episode maybe is get started and commit, because I think we have this expectation, like Kyle said, of like it exploding overnight, and it doesn't. But so we want, it wasn't a big enough idea or a good enough idea, so you switch entirely to something different versus sticking with it or making small tweaks and pivots along the way. But sticking with it and trusting that, like, no, I believe in this product and letting it do its thing over a period of years, not days, months, weeks, whatever. But I'm curious. I always like to put myself in the entrepreneur's shoes. I have an idea for like a silicone product. I don't even know what silicone is. So like, how do you go about taking this idea from your head to paper, committing, deciding to start, and then actually like, what do you do now? Like, what was the next step to
basically the multi-million-dollar question? Everyone's scared of step one. What was your step one?
Yeah, of like the action that you actually had to take to get this thing going.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I have to say, first of all, my personality is to just do, to default to do. And that was learned over the course of my 20s. And I started this at 31 years old. A lot of people have their like, they have bumps and bruises throughout their 20s. They finally like that do start, finally start in their early 30s. Maybe they start in their 20s. That's fantastic. Wish I did. But to get started, I knew I had to have help in engineering this thing. So as far as silicone goes, it's a much more widely accepted material use and has higher potential for being non-toxic. So that market my wife embodies is like all natural, no fragrances, get all the chemicals out of the house, as little plastic as possible. And that silicone has a good reputation, but there's limitations if you use cheap silicone. So what was our first step? We first got concepts in 2D and 3D engineering drawings. I mean, this is like literally technical what we did. We went on a Fiverr. I'd heard of Fiverr from a startup I had worked on a couple years before that. And Fiverr was just starting to become really big. It's the freelance, go hire a freelance, whatever. And I found a guy that can, he's over in India and he's helping me design these 2D and 3D concepts that then I could bring to factories. And because I guess my first technical step was to reach out to some different factories that do silicone off of Google searches. And they're like, well, you got to give us some drawings first to know what you're trying to make, son. And I'm like, okay, I guess I do. So
they sunned you. Oh, no.
They sunned, dude, like 10 times. I got that from everybody. They're
Listen
like,
here, son.
Yeah. Like, this is a different breed of people that I'm used to working with. But yeah, so we got the drawings made. And then it was like we felt more comfortable going to different factories and saying, here's what we're trying to make. And I would have to describe it and I would have to say, what's the purpose of it? And, different things like that. And then one of our factories said, hey, you know what? I know somebody that would be really good for you to work with that could refine these drawings that will actually be manufacturable. Then I think you really are going to start to find connections. So I think what it was, you guys, is I just asked the right questions. I kept searching. I kept asking people, like, here's what I want to make. Here's what we were trying to do. And being vulnerable, being told this is a stupid idea. Plenty of times, people looking at me like I had three heads and just saying, I'm not going to give up till I find the answer. And then that led to a design firm that actually did a really good job out of Cleveland, Ohio. They had a good connection with, we did like 17 interviews of different factories till we found the right one, but they ended up helping me connect me to one that they had worked with. And they were like a liaison model. They had office in St. George, Utah. And then they helped us manage the factory relationship getting off the ground. And I get asked that question by a lot of people in manufacturing. It's like, how do you find the right partner? After you start making products, now you start getting more and more factories reaching out to you. So you start marketing and they will start reaching out to you. But that first one, it was literally like, get some napkin sketch drawings to a guy in India. He translates them into decent factory ready drawings that were not factory ready, and then connections, just because sometimes there are, believe it or not, really good people out there that just want to help you along. One little piece, one little linchpin that you can look back and say, wow, we wouldn't have had it if it weren't for so-and-so out of New York connecting us to so-and-so in Cleveland, and the rest is history.
People who don't want to sun you is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
We hear that also a lot on our show is that, we've heard a lot of people pitch the book, Who Not How. So you don't have to necessarily learn how to do everything. You just need to connect yourself to the people that know how to do this part, and then somebody else who knows how to do this part.
Yeah.
Was there ever any fear of, like, especially early, I think this is a common thing amongst aspiring entrepreneurs or somebody who just came up with an idea. They don't want to tell anybody because they don't want anybody to take their idea. So as you're approaching people who legitimately have the tools to just knock off your idea, was there ever any fear that they would do that, or did you do like NDAs, or what? How did you approach that?
I think working at my dad's company had worked out that fear, because I think those people never really prosper. That knockoff. I think if you just,
Except for Mark Zuckerberg, we'll just
well, yeah,
there
that's,
was at least one example.
and I have to say, yeah, plenty. I guess there are plenty of examples, but I always had the philosophy that, like, you're better off trying and getting knocked off and the idea stolen from you than never having tried at all, especially if you believed in it. And there was fear. I guess I'll admit that that crossed my mind. Um, but I think we really believed in what we had. We had a unique design, and turns out, lo and behold, no one in the United States could even produce what we were looking to produce. Like, it just wasn't feasible. The silicone manufacturing is unfortunately 25 years behind East Asia, and they just can't do anything custom. They can't do anything high level. Nobody could rip it off. Most of the interviews we did at first, we tried to make it USA made, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I would just say
No, it does. And I mean, it could be because of people pioneering things like yourself that we catch up here in the States.
yeah,
I think that's something that could come in the future. One thing that you've kind of touched on here that I was thinking, listening to you talk about it, is I feel like there's a part of, our experience in middle school that we never quite leave behind. And by that, I mean like that fear that you're going to be made fun of, or like the fear to kind
yeah,
of be yourself and own something and stand on it. And I definitely felt that in my, early in my 9 to 5 career, where you're like, you feel like you're going to be made fun of. And then you start to go along and that actually happens, and it isn't that bad. It isn't as bad as you think it is, or it's like,
yeah.
I don't care about this. And so, just as a word of encouragement, indirectly coming from you here, it just sounds like, okay, so they make fun of me, they look down on me, and here I am still going, running this company, succeeding. And so, the I guess the sentiment is, okay, it's as bad as I think it is in being made fun of. So what?
Exactly. And I would say, just to take that point further, the people you're most afraid of, at least that I was most afraid of, because when I was, working with the guy in India, working with these different factories that are never met them before in my life, I was afraid of my friends and family's opinions. I think that's what holds most people back. It's like, I'm afraid of what my close friends are going to say. I'm afraid they're going to just think I'm different. They're going to want, what's wrong with you, or just like, because you hold their opinions in high esteem. That's why they're your friends and family. And I come from one of 9 kids, and they, most of them are now married, having their own kids. My parents, very successful in their business over the course of 3 decades. And I mean, when I finally had the courage to tell them, like, the product we were making, they didn't understand. It appeared a little random, and it wasn't random to us, but it was random to them. And I love my family dearly, God bless them. They just, it was kind of out of nowhere to them. It stung a little bit, and then we just kept moving forward, and now they're our biggest cheerleaders. Like, there are some friends maybe that dropped off, but like, we have, we keep making friends too that are biggest
Yeah.
cheerleaders now.
They didn't understand your vision. 8 brothers and sisters, you had a built-in market for initial
Yes.
sales
Yeah.
for their kids.
Yeah, great.
Actually, though, yeah,
Funnel, yeah. I just want to touch on that too, because I think that's been a big part of my story. Is I started content creating 2 years ago, and I was too scared to like do it on my personal page. So I knew I had some ideas for like some skits and I wanted to try to be the funny guy.
oh yeah,
And I was too scared to do it on my personal page, so I invited my followers to go follow this other page, but I didn't want to I didn't want to spam them with my content.
yeah.
So I did it. I went to this other page. I built a following of like 24,000 people on Instagram.
Wow.
But just the other day, Kyle, this is a fresh story for me. I called Kyle because I was so excited. So just the other day, Facebook actually invited me, Stephen Beckham, not my Instagram handle. They invited my personal Facebook page to like monetize, to do their content monetization program. And
Sweet.
I was like, well, can I do it? My handle's called Kind of Fit Father, and I was like, can I do it in Kind of Fit Father? And they're like, no, it's got to be Stephen Beckham. It's like, gosh, dang it. So I was like, am I gonna do this? So I talked to my wife, I talked to some people, and I was like, I'm just gonna try it. And I did it, and I'm on like day 3, and I've made $13. And that's small potatoes, but I think it speaks like I have this fear of like, what are all of my friends and followers going to think of me when I post this goofy content? But on the other side of that, I'm like, I don't even care. I made $13 in 3 days from like I didn't even try. I just like
Yeah.
put stuff out there and I made $13. So like,
I mean, truthfully, I need to apply this to my own life, even just in podcasting and in all things. I talk about it with my wife. Like when my wife brings me a problem, it's like, oh yeah, I'll fix it, solve it, no big deal. But like, doing it yourself is an entirely different matter. And what I'm driving at is, we vastly overestimate the amount of importance that we hold in other people's minds as they're going about their daily lives.
Totally agree.
And so, if they do have, a remark to make at our expense, okay, keep it moving. I'm still pursuing my vision.
yeah,
The value in that is learning, like when you take those steps forward, and even if it's $13 in the first 3 days, the real value is having those repetitions of not caring, of working or not letting it bother you. Because I know personally, I grew up a people pleaser, as the fourth of 9 and kind of the glue in some ways of our family, and always a people pleaser. And in that way, like scared to let people down, scared to like make people uncomfortable. But I think the value is, like you're saying, Steve, that like, no, you broke through that fear of getting in front of your friends and family, being like, no, this is who I am. And here's what I'm capable of, or here's what I'm pursuing. And then B, to your point, Kyle, is like, Anna told me that a lot too. It's like people don't think about you nearly as much as you think about them. And once you realize that, it really disarms you of like, okay, you know what? They got their full-time job, they have families, or they have their own thing going on. If they cherry pick one thing and whatever, but still, even if they criticize me, they're not thinking about me much, hardly at all. And then you're allowed to move forward. And it's like, wow, I can change my life.
and the other part of that is, and this has been the case for me at times, is you get like the quote unquote haters or the naysayers that maybe it may not be a family or friend, it may just be a stranger that leaves a negative comment, and you can use that almost as fuel to fuel the fire, to put a kind of light a fire under your butt, to just take this. You know what? Now that you said that, I'm going to take this even further. I'm going to go even harder. I'm going to try even harder to make this thing huge. So I wonder, I'm curious if you have any stories like that, if there's any like negative comments that you've received that stuck with you that you've been able to use as fire to make this thing take off.
Say for Steve in the early days, it was like, oh, I'm gonna make even more bad content. But for you,
I was like, oh, the controversial stuff works. Let's do more controversial stuff. Like if you're gonna throw shade, it's just gonna go more viral.
What did you do though, John? But something productive.
Well, I mean, I have to say, to that point, there are things that we put out there for our meta ads or even just organic social where I think the more negative comments that you get sometimes, like I sometimes will tap on different, I won't say consultants, but like freelancers who have a lot of experience launching their own companies and working in meta ads or just organic social. And there's a guy that told me, he's like, if you're getting negative comments, that's a good thing. Like you're doing something that's controversial. You're not just doing something with generalities. And I think the more we've grown and the longer we've been in this, the more like mean and spiteful and painful things that I'll get from somebody who's just having a bad day. And, I have to say, like, Anna and I love serving young parents, young moms in particular, but they also have an unbelievable amount of stress on them. So like if something for some reason doesn't perform for them, or you take a position on something, it can really fire up some people pretty quickly. And so being prepared for that. And I think just like the not caring what, friends and family might think around you as a start, well, as you grow, you're going to get even more negative feedback, because I thought my product was perfect. when I made it, or our next product or whatever. And lo and behold, there are always improvements that need to be made, as good as it can be. But like, I would say in this early going, the negative comments have been great for fuel. I mean, I feel like it's early on, and I've heard this from a lot of different my heroes, is like early on, your feel is, I'm going to grow and I'm going to double down. I'm going to button down my routine and my discipline because of those negative comments. And really not many from friends or family, more so from general mass as we've brought it to market.
And that's the other thing too, is that's why you should just start, because you might think your product idea is perfect and then you get it to the masses and they're like, no, trust me, it's not.
Yep.
So what kind of tweaks have you made from the initial iterations to now?
Yeah, so we're actually just a couple things buttoning up I should back up. One, our signature product here at Lowcountry Littles, when we first launched, was the palmetto pouch. We've since launched what's called the Coastal Cup, our Marsh Brush. We're about to launch our Seashell Straw Cup. And then, like I mentioned, you guys too, we just launched our all-in-one gut health daily multivitamin supplement for kids. That's called Little Gut Booster. But and I will say our Coastal Cup is like rarely, it's a snack cup. It rarely gets complaints ever. The main complaint we get on our palmetto pouch, which was obviously the first product that we put on the market, and we're just learning product development, was that the spoon top, and I'll quick grab it. This right here is.
I love that you have one right there.
I'm
not being funny. I'm very glad. That's so cool.
Actually, what I'll do, we haven't even told anyone yet, but we're coming out with.
This is for the YouTube audience.
This is for YouTube audience. We're coming out with another pastel that are all inspired by Rainbow Row here in Charleston. But this is our palmetto pouch, and you can see right here is the spout piece. And then we made this. We actually have a patent on it. It's a spoon top with a teether handle. And it's so that parents can, like, when they're on the go, kids can actually learn Montessori style of like eating it with a spoon if they don't want to use the pouch. Some people like it. Some people are just like, I just need a top. And so the people that are like, I need a top, the original version was not as tight as we had wanted it to be. Part of that was trying to balance like a kid being able to take the top off at an age of like 1 to 2, 3 years old, and it not falling off in a diaper bag. But to your question there, Kyle, about the iteration, we just finished up rebuilding the mold so that this top, and this is the new version, it is a lot tighter. As you can see there, the other one came off pretty easily. This snap fit that we've made is exceptional. So we listened to our market, and we're about to release it next year.
Let me tell you, that's exciting in large part because Steve and I are both the parents of 3 young kids. And if my wife were to, and she's going to see it later, she's going to be like, why are you letting this man talk dirty to me right now?
Listen, my daughter is at kindergarten now and has a fruit pouch in her backpack. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
There's a better way.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about those consumables, like, we're in that target market. So, beyond
why we discovered
I would say beyond buying from you this Christmas,
So how did you iterate, not just like iterate on that product, but like how did the other products come to be? Did you just see another need pop up and you're like, oh, you know what? We have a silicone product. We could just do another silicone product.
Yeah. And I think this is a really good question. I want to back up and say that Anna and I, as part of one of our core values, we really, really do genuinely value gut health. Children's gut health in particular. So the gut microbiome, it controls everything from mental health, sleep, nutritional absorption, immune system, ability to fight chronic disease for life. And we see the mental health crisis that's happening, especially among teenagers, younger and younger. You're having like type 2 diabetes, you're having a lot of mental health issues. It's not just iPhones. It's not just social media. It's something that is off in their gut. And a lot of that comes from people think, you know, just loads of sugar and pop and candy and treats and processed foods. And God bless Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A, but like going out to eat all the time has no repercussions. Well, it does. It does. And I spent years running marathons for gut health research. And my wife's late father, passed away from alcoholism. And a lot of that addiction starts with imbalance. People call it whenever you hear people talk about that, they're like, oh, they had a chemical imbalance. Well, that chemical, the location is not in their brain. It's actually controlled by their gut. And so we wanted to do things once it just became, you know, people were like, oh my gosh, the quality of these pouches, you guys got to do more products in the mealtime space. And we're like, yeah, we do. And so we went with a snack cup because one, the most popular one on the market was a cheap plastic version. Two, we had an opportunity to continue to drive home better eating habits. So like for us with the pouches, we make smoothies every morning. Like, in fact, you can see my bottle back there. That was an accident, but like my wife makes smoothies for all of us every morning, and they're loaded with nutrition. Great way to start with protein, fruits, veggies, you name it. But we also encourage people to get away from like things like goldfish. And if you didn't know, millennials are the biggest consumers of goldfish because they're still addicted to them from the 90s and 80s when they first started eating them.
Yeah, dentists love them because they give everybody cavities, but
they're their best friend. And they do give, people are like, oh, only sugar gives cavities. Nope, goldfish give. They're a huge reason. And so we went into what was a Coastal Cup, the snack cup, and we made it like the largest on market. We put, I think I have to say, like, we value non-toxic, we value gut health, but every product we put out there also has to just like crush the other ones from a design standpoint too. We don't want to, we're not in this to be the, you know, number 4, number 5 in the category. Everything we put out has to be the number 1. And so then that's why we start with that. People wanted a bottle brush right off the bat that was non-toxic, that they could clean all their breast milk pump equipment and stuff like that too. So that met the early moms. And then you got the pouches coming in solids and snack cups, you know, right there with it. And then people wanted a straw cup. So we listen a lot to our market more and more when it comes to development.
As you should.
Yeah. And I'm interested, you know, kind of, I don't want to speak for you here, but it does sound like maybe you have a little sprinkling of perfectionism in you. And Steve and I have talked to guests before about like perfect being the enemy of good now. So how do you kind of,
it's like, I think the phrase is, now is better than perfect, or something now is better than perfect and ever, or something like that.
So how do you kind of balance that? Like the idea of having something that the market is saying, hey, we have a need for this, but then not agonizing over the details so much because you want it to be perfect, because you want it to be number 1, that you miss the opportunity altogether.
Yeah. One is like trusting the engineers you have on your team. But I will say to that point, like some of the perfectionism also is driven that we don't have loads and loads of investors that are saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like this is 100% self-funded. We want to retain as much of that ownership as possible because we want our mission to stay clean. We don't want to do greenwashing crap where we claim we're non-toxic or we claim this or claim that and we can't back it up. So we do try to make it as good as we possibly can. But if the number one thing that sinks people in product development is never getting anything out there. So we get it to be where Anna and I, and this sounds weird to say, but we get it to where Anna and I thoroughly enjoy the product and then we put it on the market where it's not like even with the pouch, it wasn't perfect, but these things are like way easier to clean and way sturdier. And the materials are way better and long lasting than anything else out there. So we're already ahead of that. Let's get this on the market, get the feedback. And now that's why we iterated number 2, but we have to be careful with our money too, because you can't just put crap on the market either and have a lot of revisions to do. So to your point, sorry, you do want to get it out there
Yeah.
That's huge.
I mean, it's all a balancing act, and people on the other side of success make it sound very simple, but we're talking to you about doing it in real time. And
Yeah,
so I feel like there's a lot of value in that.
But
huge.
it seems like you're very educated, not formally, but just your lifestyle. You've educated yourself on, you know, what's good for the body, what's good for the gut, and kind of what products out there are doing to us. So I'm curious if you have an answer to the question of like what would you say is the biggest lie that's being sold to parents in the industry, in like the baby product industry?
I think everyone markets something called food grade silicone. It's not really food grade.
I don't. What
I,
does that even mean? Just that
yeah,
you
so
can put food in it?
yeah, exactly. That the contact with food is theoretically safe. Um, One of the biggest complaints about silicone baby products is that they either like smell weird, they taste like soap, their kids stop eating it after a couple cycles in the dishwasher. And everyone, whether it be on Amazon or Meta or wherever they advertise, oh, food grade silicone this, food grade silicone that. Well, the FDA's uh, the FDA allows a relatively high percentage of plastic fillers that are like not good for you in their silicone, and they determine what's called food grade. So they have their like contact levels with food or things that contact food. They have their chemical levels, like thresholds that are allowable, way higher thresholds than European grade silicone. European grade silicone is just silicone. It's 100%. It's the highest standard in the world. That's what we hit. It bothered us that we would get silicone products that theoretically were food grade, but they tasted weird. They were disgusting. Kids didn't like eating from them. They didn't wash correctly. Um, I think there are a lot of companies out there that manufacture quickly, copycat, use cheap inputs, get it here as fast as possible. It's a hot item. Let's try to ride that wave and then move on to the next one.
Yeah. I was just talking to my wife about Dubai chocolate. Like everyone was all into it, and then everybody's starting to make that now, and the fad has passed. And so now there's going to be all this product just sitting on the shelves. But you are obviously doing things very, very differently. So you won't have to worry about that issue.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's a little bit early, like meaning it's not like the reusable pouches are this like massively known market, but the disposables are, and our mission is to push back on all of these disposables and be like, no, homemade food is the way it was meant to be. Small batch food was the way it was meant to be. We understand why you don't want to use the current reusable options on the market. They're hard to use. They stink. So we're going to make you one that kicks butt and makes you want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and you've got the parents out there who want to feed their kids in a safe and healthy way, but I also am just thinking as you're talking, like everybody out there who's starting to question the single-use plastic water bottles. It's like every one of
Yeah.
those people who's questioning that has kids, it's like
Same thing.
automatic target market. Like,
Absolutely.
So
That's a great point. That's a really good point. It's a
you're
content
welcome.
piece right there. I see that as content.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you're willing to share, what are like the first month? I think people, we talked about kind of growth earlier, how you expect growth to happen overnight. You've been in the business for a little over 2 years. I think that first month of sales, how did that go for you? And then how does that, if whatever you're willing to share, I know some people don't want to talk about revenues, but how did that first month go versus how does business going today?
I love this question. Everybody thinks, not everybody, but there are a lot of people who think they'll ask you right away, man, how's business going? How's business going? Where it's like they think you put a product out, you make a product, and then everybody's lining up, or everybody should be lining up, or it's an unsuccessful product. No, not true. Like, number one, your marketing takes time. Your marketing voice takes time. You are not as big as you think you are just because you made a product. Making the product is really dang hard. Marketing it is 50 times harder. It's like, it's not even close. Like, you can have the best product in the world. If it's not marketed well, it'll never go anywhere. The first month that we were on the market for palmetto pouches actually was decent because we started developing in 23. We started growing a following on social and really getting to know people in our community, even locally. And then when it launched, it had like good buzz and decent sales. And then after that, just like tanks. And it was like, I've never done this before. I don't know if this is normal. I don't know if this is okay or not, whatever. But then from then has been this like steady growth, big pop, steady growth, big pop. And then the more products you add in there, the wider reach you have of people to bring into your store, into your net, because, I was looking for a snack cup, but these smoothie pouches sound really cool. So now naturally you're going to have more smoothie pouch sales or vice versa. And the more products you add, better. But like October, so we finalized October year over year, 9.5x over last October. We're proud of that growth. I
I
mean,
don't need to be an accountant to know that's good.
no, I agree. That was great. But we treat every month because we're so young, so new. We treat every month like we're not going to try to compare year over year and try to get all the patterns together yet. We try to sell as many of ours and reach as many moms and serve as many customers as we can every month, regardless if it's, Black Friday week or if it's, middle of July.
Now, that kind of obviously invites the question. You were giving us a little teaser for, the YouTube audience of like what's to come. What else are you projecting into the future? Like, do you have other product ideas in the pipeline, or are you just wanting to kind of continue to see how you grow? Like, how are you looking to project over? Steve loves the 5-year question, so I'm going to ask it before he can.
Fantastic. Beat him to it.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve.
Too slow.
Yeah. So next year, it is a back and forth, especially in self-funded situations. It's a back and forth kind of dance between, you do have to sell what you have and you have to get better at marketing the products you do have versus innovation, and coming out with things new and novelty are great too for growth. But you have to manage that cash in a way that's like, inventory reorders on the current items we have is a prioritization over development in this stage we're at. Maybe 6 months ago was a little bit different, but now we're starting to generate a lot more income on our current products. So we got to make sure we have the inventory to keep selling what has gotten us to this point. But next year, like the things that we want to develop would be like a completely non-toxic toothbrush that goes with non-toxic toothpaste, just like the Little Gut Booster supplement can be put into our straw cups, our smoothie pouches, and even mix it in yogurt in our snack cups. It's like helping parents in our market with nutrition and with gut health for their children in both hard and soft products, and then also going into like bowls and plates and several other products. But like the bowls and plates, I will say, we have a really good idea of how we want to design them. They're going to be fantastic. Parents are going to love them. And you might think like, how can we get a bowl and a plate, pretty run of the mill items, to be innovative? But parents are going to love them. So yeah, we have things in the pipeline.
Stay tuned.
That's right.
Yeah, speaking of staying tuned, we always like to give every guest this opportunity. We want you to go ahead and plug. Where can people find more about you on your website, on your socials, where they can purchase your products?
Yeah, that'd be great. So we're on Facebook app, shop app, but our main site is lowcountrylittles.com. That's lowcountrylittles.com. And at lowcountrylittles_Inc. is our Instagram. We find that our moms, our customers, are best and easiest to find and easiest to put our content out there on Instagram. So at lowcountrylittles_Inc. And then our link is in our bio, goes to our collection page on lowcountrylittles.com. But yeah, you can find us in the Meta app and subscribe to our newsletter. Right now, we actually have our early access Black Friday sale going. So 20% off for all of our customers if you sign up for our newsletter.
All right, act now. And I was to say, your you have a blog, but and real quick, like given the variety of products you described, you really quickly want to run through. You've talked about the cup and the palmetto pouch and the gut booster. Like, do you want to just give us a quick preview of like what people can find on your website?
Yeah. So if you go to the link in our bio, if you go to lowcountrylittles.com, you'll see the same thing. But the link in our bio goes to the collection page. You will see our most popular purchase right now is called the Ultimate Snack Time System. That and the Snack Time Combo Pack. We started to bundle things together because moms like getting everything at once. And so the ultimate snack time system includes 6 pouches. And I'll say 6 is really helpful for prepping, meal prepping things. Put it in the fridge. You make one batch of smoothies or purees all at once, put them in the fridge, pull them out every morning, give them to your kids, send them to school with that, or just have them eat breakfast. It comes with 2 of our coastal cups, which are snack cups. And then our Marsh brush for like cleaning all the tools, and it really replaces all of your dish brushes that you need at your sink for anything. They're fantastic. And then it comes with our new straw cup, our silicone straw cup, which is good for kids ages like 7 months, 8 months, all the way up to 3-4 years old. So that would be the most popular bundle, but the biggest thing that we're really excited about right now is the little gut booster, and you can try that. It's a gut first supplement for kids. Right now, the model for a lot of children's supplements is like, get your multivitamin every day, $30 a month subscription. And then when you need iron, because they're low on iron, we have an iron supplement for you to do, or we have a probiotic. Ours is all in one. We have prebiotic fiber that feeds the probiotics. We have L-glutamine that repairs their gut linings. And then we have iron, zinc, magnesium, all the essential vitamins, and it really just like blasts little developing guts with a lot of healthy nutrients so that they can get through cold and flu season and all the time with the best development possible. So that we're really excited about that one. That one you can find in the link in our bio too.
Love it. With that, we're going to enter our last segment. We've been trying out this new segment called What in the World. And it's kind of just things going on in the world right now that are interesting. Maybe might make you say, what in the world is going on here?
Most you see where he came up with the title, please.
Yeah. Most of them, because it's kind of the hot topic right now, the last few years, are AI related. So that's what today's is. So there's this new trend popping up called the AI nanny. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's basically like a smart system that goes beyond baby monitors. So it's like it'll track your child's sleep, their feeding, their crying patterns, and give parents real-time advice to make the caregiving decisions for you. So some people are loving it. They love the support. Others think AI has gone too far. What do you think? Is this the future of parenting, or is it too far?
I think it's a great thing. One of our kids right now, Julia, she's got 4 teeth coming in, and it's always that balance of like, what do we do without overdoing it? So like, we don't want to give her too much Motrin, but we don't want her to be in pain. We also don't want to go to urgent care if we don't have to. So I think what I like about AI, if it's accurate, if it's pulling in the right things for your situation, it's pulling from hundreds or thousands of studies and like what to do's, parenting forums, you name it, professional opinions, and says like, might talk you off the ledge of like, I need to take my kid into urgent care. Now, not for teething, but like if a kid's got 104-degree fever in the middle of January, you're like, what do I even do? Well, as a young parent, I didn't know that like sometimes a fever can be a good thing. It means their body's like working appropriately, is not necessarily anything you can do in urgent care. So I really think it's a good thing. We probably ask ChatGPT what to do anyway in most situations. So I don't think it's a bad deal.
Just make it more of an automated process.
Yeah. If you would, I'll put it this way. If most parents right now would Google it, well, I mean, AI is like, now it's an evolution of technology. And maybe 15 years ago, people said, don't Google it, just call up your doctor. Well, now everyone Googles everything. Well, now they're going to move on to AI. It's just, that's part
now
of it.
you sit on hold with your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can even get into the whole.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be said it's a good crutch, but it's a bad pair of shoes. How about that?
I hear that. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you a secret that
Oh, here we
I'm
go.
gonna throw Kyle. It's your secret, Kyle. I'm gonna throw Kyle under the bus here.
Okay.
Kyle has never used ChatGPT.
Why is that?
Wow.
Yeah,
We talked before the
imagine that.
show.
Thinking my own thoughts. How
We
revolutionary.
talked before the
Yeah.
show about how Kyle was a little bit old fashioned, and if that doesn't scream old fashioned. I'm like,
I don't know.
man,
I see stuff about like how people can trick and manipulate language learning models, and so it's like, well, why don't I just figure it out then?
I'll text Kyle and be like, so I talked to ChatGPT today, and he's like, what are you dating? I'm like, you're such an old man. You're such
It's
an
true.
old man.
She said I'm doing a great job.
They always say that. They always say
Yeah,
that's such a
exactly.
great question, and you're on the right track. I'm like, thank you,
I've
ChatGPT.
never met someone so smart as you.
I think that is actually a huge downside to AI. Is like
Hmm.
it just reinforces the soft mentality and like we got enough snowflakes, coming down in our society. We don't need to tell everyone they're special. And
Yeah,
Gotta
it
David Goggins it. Stay hard.
yeah. I mean, we need people to be hard like that. I love David Goggins.
I love David Goggins.
Guy's amazing. So
With all that said, we greatly appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah.
I think it's always cool, like we said, when you have an idea to see it like as a reality. Now it's a real product. It's solving a real problem. Parents can buy it,
yeah.
making the world a better place, leaving it in better shape than when you got in it. So we are grateful for what you're doing, grateful for you spending time with us today, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.